When there's trouble, we all know who to call. The Teen Titans. But this new group of Titans, well, no, please don't call them. They'll kill everyone on sight and then swear about your father after doing so. The upcoming adaptation of DC's beloved sidekick outfit did look like it was heading somewhere strong. That image of Brenton Thwaites in the Robin costume looked spectacular, as did the image of Hawk and Dove too. With the arrival of a new season of Young Justice as well, there really wasn't a better time to have a new Teen Titans show, especially one that harkened back to the cartoon of old. But then the trailer came out, and it wasn't good. It was really bad. We made a video about it, and as you can tell, I don't look amused in the slightest. Boasting a dark tone and an even darker color palette, fuck Batman, this incarnation of the Titans brood, sulk, kill, and then swear about your father after the fact. It just doesn't look anything like the team themselves, and to be honest, it's a bit of an issue. It's a disaster waiting to happen, but with the right amount of love, care, and Bat-themed sticky tape, we could tape together a show that really is worth watching. With that in mind, I'm Yoon from What Culture, and here's how DC saved Titans. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to stay notified. Ding, ding, done. Number 7. Replicate what made the cartoon so enjoyable. Ask any fan where they were first introduced to the Teen Titans, and they're likely to cite the wonderful 2003 cartoon, which actually ran concurrently with the equally brilliant Justice League animated series. More important, however, is that the show imparted a definitive image of DC's sidekicks for an entire generation. Sure, there are people who probably missed out on the show after the fact, but still, there's no getting away from the importance or just how good this old cartoon really was. Like many DC productions of the period, the show aimed to find the perfect balance between light and dark, having the talents of Ron Perlman as Slade Wilson whilst offsetting that entirely with a wonderful quirky cartoon aesthetic. Then there's Young Justice, a similar show that adapted a similar team from the comics that exemplified this approach in the extreme. It boasted a maturity beyond its supposed years with a breathtaking take on adolescence and superheroics. It was wonderful and heartbreaking in equal measure, and it's no surprise that a third season is currently slated for release later this year. The main lesson both shows impart, however, is that it's possible for a comic book adaptation to be both light and dark. One needn't rely on one so heavily over the other, as this new Titans show looks to be doing. Number 6. No guns and no killing. Batman's no-killing rule has been passed down through each and every decade, bar a few exceptions, as has his no-killing mantra. It's an ethos the Robins themselves have all adopted. Barring Jason Todd, but you know. And well, yeah, it's just weird to see an incarnation of Dick Grayson breaking necks and shooting people in a dark alleyway. More recent cinematic interpretations of the Bat mythos have sadly misconstrued this aspect of the character, with the Caped Crusader of the DCEU having murdered dozens in Batman v Superman. Combine that with a newfound interest in firearms, and it's easy to see why Titans thinks it can get away with the same approach. It can't. The DCEU, now dubbed the Worlds of DC, is well on its way to divesting from this old Miller-esque tone, as have the trailers for Aquaman and Shazam so brilliantly illustrated. And besides, no one, and I do mean no one, wants to see Robin shooting and breaking necks. It just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Number 5. Make Robin's anger work. Of course, the main talking point of the Comic-Con trailer was the line delivered by Brenton Thwaites' Robin, where he exclaims, "F*** Batman," after laying waste to several or so goons. In this instance, it's not so much the intent that's wrong so much as it is the delivery. There is absolutely nothing wrong about showing Dick Grayson's transition from Boy Wonder to working the beat on Bloodhaven as Nightwing, but there is a way to go about it. The issue here is that his grievance with Batman is condensed into a throwaway line that makes him look like a whiny, homicidal brat, and not as an adult on the cusp of outgrowing a mantle and finding his own place in the world. Done properly, a Titans show centered around this journey could be fantastic. Emphasizing this transition in a worthwhile and complex manner could yet prove to be the series' saving grace. For now, however, we have to deal with Robin swearing about his adoptive father, which is yeah, it's pretty bad. Number 4, adapt the team's best stories. The Teen Titans have never been short on iconic storylines, so any adaptation is already going to be in a relatively strong position in pre-production. It's easy, of course, to botch that fabled page-to-screen transition, but a better comic ultimately has a better chance of becoming a better piece of on-screen media, whether it be live action or otherwise. Unfortunately for the Titans, past attempts to adapt their best storylines to a different format haven't always paid dividends, the most recent example of which being the Judas Contract, an animated DC film that completely failed to capture the essence of what made that comic so compelling to begin with. Indeed, that storyline could work wonders on the small screen, as it did in the 2003 cartoon when they put their own spin on the storyline. It's not just the Judas Contract that is worth adapting for live action either. There are plenty of arcs from Jeff Johns' lauded stint on the Teen Titans comic worth adapting as well, including a kids game which released in the wake of the 2003 cartoon's series premiere. Thematic or what? Number 3, change the color palette. One of the oldest criticisms about the DCEU is that it looks and feels way too dark. It's a trend that actually contradicts the roots of DC's mythos itself, which possesses worlds that are bleak and bright in equal abundance. So far, only Wonder Woman, Aquaman, and Shazam look to be divesting from that approach, but apart from them, every DC film since 2013 has sported this disgusting dark blue grey tint, and yeah, it's getting really boring right now. The same approach, as you've probably seen already, has manifested in Titans, and none of the team look at home in this locale. Sure, you can get away with Robin bashing skulls in an alley, but when you throw in Beast Boy and Starfire into the dark skies of Gotham City, it just looks completely bizarre. Ultimately, the world being built for Titans just doesn't look like DC's own, a world made of gods, monsters, heroes, and villains. Instead, it appears dour, miserable, sad, cynical even, things that are completely antithetical to the Titans brand and is causing a headache for Teen Titans fans everywhere, myself included. Number 2, show some self-awareness. Although Titans' problems with tone have been well documented by now, we mustn't forget that the show will probably end up addressing these issues at some point. The sooner, the better. What makes Titans' tonal issues so funny is the fact that they've actually already been mocked by the Titans themselves in Teen Titans Go. And I know what you're thinking, Teen Titans Go, you don't like it. Well, hey, they do have a bit of satire in there, and it's actually quite funny. Just saying. In the episode Let's Get Serious, the Titans take aim at these overly serious comic book adaptations that have pervaded DC in particular, and well, it's what we're seeing happening with the brand as things stand. The only way to really fix this is to hit it on the nose right off the bat, and with the show in need of a pretty major course correction, we can only hope that Warner Brothers are actually paying attention to fan concerns. Number 1, make sure other shows learn from it. Of course, one of the major worries we all have about Titans is that it actually could signal the approach DC are taking to all their upcoming programming on the streaming service. We already know that Harley Quinn's animated series is being billed as an adult comedy, but shows like Swamp Thing, Stargirl, or even Doom Patrol could all fall victim to the same approach currently being sported by Titans. Comic book publishers have long experienced issues in adapting their properties to the small screen, and the chief reason why is that a lot of these shows really struggle to find their own identity. Take Gotham, for instance. That thing doesn't know what it wants to be every other day, let alone every time it airs. Arrow thinks it's Batman, and The Flash, well, it's inconsistent since its stellar first season. The issue with Titans, almost, is that it has found an identity, just one that's completely at odds with the source material in question. Ensure that DC's newer shows learn from its mistakes, and they could have a service worth investing in. But yeah, this is just how I would save the new Titans series. I want to know what you all think down in the comments below, and if you could like, share, and subscribe, that would be fantastic. Then if you could head back over to whatculture.com/comics, that would be brilliant too, because I promise, the DC animated universe still lives on there, or at least we pretend it to. As always, I've been Ewan, and I'll see you next time.